video game creator.
Oh, Lord.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Nintendo's own Shigeru Miyamoto.
The GameCube is arguably one of the best consoles that Nintendo's ever made, releasing hit classics such as Super Smash Bros. Melee, Luigi's Mansion, Super Mario Sunshine, and Animal Crossing, to name a few. Whenever people think of hit classics of the GameCube, not too many people think about Pikmin, a series that I find to be underrated for its entire lifespan. The first game, being Pikmin, was released back on October 26th of the year 2001. Pikmin is a real-time strategy and puzzle game created by the legendary Shigeru Miyamoto. The game's focus on directing a horde of plant-like creatures called Pikmin in order to collect items by destroying obstacles, avoiding hazards, and fighting all types of creatures that are hazardous to both the player and the Pikmin. The Pikmin series features 5 entries, those being Pikmin, Pikmin 2, Pikmin 3, Hey Pikmin, Hey Pikmin, and the new Pikmin Bloom. But today we're basically going to be talking about the sequel to the first game, Pikmin 2. Now you're probably wondering, why am I reviewing the second game first? That's probably because I haven't played the first game that much. And really, Pikmin 2 is my favorite game of the series. So I feel like this game would be like a very good first review. But without further ado, let's get into it. Upon returning to his home planet Hokate after the events of the first game, Captain Olimar meets his employer and newly hired, supposedly inexperienced employee named Louis. My thoughts about Louis: he's an interesting character, and there's a lot of theories about him, but we'll get into that later. Olimar learns that Hokate Freight is in a massive debt of 10k Pokos, which is Pokos technically it's pretty much their currency, okay? Due to the loss of a shipment of golden Pikmin carrots, situation brought about by Louis. More on that later. Olimar's ship, the SS Dolphin, the one that he... let me get this straight. So Olimar's ship got stolen. Well, it didn't get stolen, but it got taken away because they're in debt, right? He spent so much time repairing the ship only for it to be taken away like moments after he finally repaired it. So that's funny. Olimar did not like this, and he was even shocked about it, and he dropped a bottle cap, which was a souvenir that he was supposed to give his son. The ship actually absorbs the bottle cap and values it at 100 Pokos, leading to the president sending Olimar and Louis back to the distant planet to collect more treasures like that. When they arrive though, Louis falls out of the cockpit. Wow, okay. But luckily Olimar reunites with Louis, beginning their long quest for treasure and basically starting the game. Once you begin your treasure hunting, after the tutorial, you fight all sorts of enemies in order to obtain the treasure you so desire, and that includes entering caves. A major part of what defines Pikmin 2 in my opinion. I really love the addition of caves to the Pikmin franchise. Some people don't, which I do not know why. What I like about caves is that it pretty much makes Pikmin 2 stand out from all the other Pikmin games. Caves can be challenging, mysterious, and make you strategize on what's your next move, putting your Pikmin skills to the test, and I think that's why I like them so much. I say this because you go into like the caves, you can't spawn any more Pikmin, right? So you basically have 100 Pikmin, and if you lose 100, that's basically you can't spawn anymore. One thing I dislike about the caves is that there's no time limit, so it kind of makes it easier for you, makes you not rush. But overall, I really like the caves, I guess that could be considered a key feature. There's no time limit compared to being outside in the game. The bosses of Pikmin 2 can be questionable sometimes, but some of them are really cool. Did you ever imagine a fucking spider wielding a gun and shooting at you? Yeah, me neither. The atmosphere and the music of these caves are amazing to me. Look at this. Just hear one of these songs. Yeah, you think that's an ordinary cave? That does not sound like a cave. They can give off this mysterious vibes that these caves are going for, and I'm all for that. Each floor is randomly generated, and it's pretty much the same Pikmin you know and love, just underground pretty much. Caves also add another key feature into their franchise, and that is their exclusive Pikmin. That being White Pikmin, Purple Pikmin, and Bulbmin. White Pikmin are light and they're pretty fast, so those are their advantages. Purple Pikmin are easily the best Pikmin in the whole series, in my opinion. They make the last boss of Pikmin 1 look like a joke. Purple Pikmin can pack a punch, pretty much. Yeah, they're pretty strong. If you want the game to be easy, just have a lot of purple Pikmin, in my opinion. And then we got the most interesting type, which is Bulbmin, which are they're basically like Bulbor Pikmin. They're like immune to like all hazards except for like bomb rocks and regular rocks. You know, they have their own advantages too, you know. Pikmin 2, honestly, it honestly had amazing graphics for the time since the release on the GameCube. Areas such as the Awakening Wood and Perplexing Pool were really a sight to see. Speaking of areas, all the areas of Pikmin 2 are references to the first game, which, while it might not have that much originality to the table, I think they were cool references in my opinion. My favorite area has to be Perplexing Pool. Like, listen to the theme and then just look at the atmosphere. Now, replaying a game can either be really fun or not enjoyable anymore because you already know what's going to happen in the game. But I do say replaying Pikmin 2 was pretty fun, and I like that it's replayable, you know? While playing through a game, I like the many references that are thrown into the game, and hell, you might even call this game one big product placement, because as you go through the game, you start to see items that you're very familiar with, like a Duracell battery for some reason. While replaying the game though, the ship kinda got annoying though, because I already know what to do and they keep informing me on what I should do even though I already know. But like, you know, earlier I was thinking, you know, like, what if this game had like a skip button, but I don't think those really existed back in the time, so I can't really argue with anything about that. The difficulty of Pikmin 2 is decent, I'd say. It's easier than the first game, but it's harder than the third game. A few caves are very challenging, especially the last caves of like the last area. We can't forget about challenge mode too, which is even more harder with time limit in caves and the amount of enemies there are. And yeah, I do say the game is decently hard, but I wouldn't say it's extremely hard like Dark Souls or anything like that. No, nothing like that. Some things to note that I liked about Pikmin 2 was firstly the Picklepedia giving information on all the enemies and plants of Pikmin 2, with notes from Olimar, giving facts and origins of the creatures, and even Louis saying how delicious they are. For some reason, I'm planning to do a series further covering the Picklepedia, so stay tuned for that. Let's see, another thing I liked about Pikmin 2 was its personality. While it is a game about like fighting like creatures and all that in order to collect treasure, it's very cute and it's fun to play. I'm not gonna spoil anything yet about like after what happens after the first half of the game, but basically it gets a lot more crazy and it has more charm after that, so there's a thing to look forward to. Another way the game has charm, after each day you complete a day, you get mail from the president and more characters, which adds more personality to the game, I feel like. And they're always something to look forward to after your day is over. So I thought that was pretty nice of them to add that in there. Well, after Olimar and Louis finally pay off their debt after a long hard journey, they decide to leave the planet, and Olimar once again says goodbye to his Pikmin friends, and that is the end of Pikmin 2. Is what I would say if they didn't forget Louis. Yeah. Oh, okay, so basically like after repaying like all that debt, Louis isn't on the ship when leaving the planet. I do not know how Olimar never noticed that, but all of a sudden the president wants to go with you now to save Louis. And now you've unlocked a whole new area with like 4 like caves that are pretty much the hardest caves in the game to find like the last bit of treasure and save Louis. Let me just say that you've unlocked the best character in the game. Like, I don't know why they added Alf into Smash, but they just never added the president. Like, his whistle is literally a car horn, for crying out loud. These last 4 caves are pretty hard though, especially if it's your first time playing. The last cave in the game is the Dream Den. I suggest collecting every treasure before entering this cave, as the final boss in this cave, like, you know, It's more rewarding like that in my opinion. But after finally collecting every single treasure possible, there's only one thing left to do: go to the Dream Den and save Louie. These sub-levels are pretty hard, and I suggest if you lose more than 50 Pikmin, just reset. It's much easier for you in the end. But once you do get through all the tough sub-levels though, you then encounter Louie, a buff from treasure, but before you know it, the final boss of Pikmin 2 appears, the Titan Dweevil. It is the largest member of the Dweevil family and arguably the largest creature in the game. But unlike other Dweevils, its only natural attack is to lash out with its pincers, which does no damage, and is the only attempt to get Pikmin off of it. The creature is really dangerous with the weapons it carries though, but after defeating it, like, you know, you get Louie back and all that, but spoiler, well, it's not really a spoiler, but here's a theory. People are theorizing that Louie was the one controlling the final boss of Pikmin 2. I don't really find that to be true. He was kind of knocked out pretty much. I don't find that to be true at all in my opinion. But after that, basically you capture Louie back, and you and the president basically return back to your home planet, and now you actually say goodbye to the Pikmin, and that's basically the end of Pikmin 2. I mean, yeah. You know, I've played many games in my lifespan, and Pikmin 2 specifically has been one of those games I'll never forget for its charm, personality, and entertaining gameplay. This game series is highly underrated, so I do recommend giving it a try at least if you want to play the game yourself. If only they would release Pikmin 4, but it might not never happen, unfortunately. Well, it will happen, but who knows, man. That's basically this review. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like the video and all that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.